Hi and welcome. In this video we're going to be taking a look at a C41 colour film negative home developing kit. Now this particular one, which I'm just going to plonk on here for a moment, is the Rollei Digibase C41 kit. It comes in liquid form, it's easy to mix, and it has excellent shelf life, which is the main reason I chose it. Inside this kit, nicely packaged, I'll say at the moment, this is from a company in the UK called Nik&Trick, Nik&Trick photographic company. I'll put a link in the video below, because I've got to say I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but the service I received from them was really good. The communication with them, I emailed them a couple of times asking questions, and they were really on the ball. I'm very impressed with them, and this came posted very quickly, very well packaged, and I'm certainly going to be using them again, so I'll pop a link to that. So if you're in the UK, I recommend them. So in the kit we've got three 10ml syringes. We have the developer, which comes in three parts A, B and C, and then we have the bleacher, the fixer, the developer starter in this little brown glass bottle, and the stabilizer in this small plastic bottle. And also in here we have a little sheet which just gives you a bit of information about the kit. Unfortunately, this kit does not come with detailed instructions on mixing them. It gives you the instructions on the labels on the mixing and the developing and what have you, but it's not super detailed. But fortunately, online you can find a very detailed PDF document from the manufacturers themselves on how to mix it and how to use it, showing also the different developing times. Now this is another reason I chose this kit. You can develop the colour film with temperatures as low as 25 degrees C, which is pretty much just above average room temperature, and 20 is about where you would develop black and white film. So that's absolutely fantastic, because the hotter the developer, the quicker the development. So you can develop this up to 45 degrees C, and you can develop a film in about 3 minutes at that. But maintaining that temperature is difficult, and this is where the tricky bit is, because you have to maintain it to within about half a degree, maybe a degree maximum, and maintaining 40 degrees to within, say, even a degree is very tricky. And this is where something like the CPE2 or a water bath with a thermostatically controlled unit would come in handy. If you don't have one of those, you can kind of bodge something together like an aquarium heater in a bucket of water, for example, but that requires a bit of fiddling about to set up initially. So you can develop at 25 degrees C, which is great for the first time home developer if you're not in a mad hurry, because it takes about 12 minutes. So this kit makes up a litre. This particular kit, you can buy a 500ml one and a 1 litre one. So it makes up a litre of developer, a litre of bleacher, a litre of fixer, and half a litre of stabiliser. Why they only include enough chemicals for half a litre of stabiliser, I'm not sure, but it's not critical, because what you can do is either, if you're developing say 4 35ml films, which a litre would take, you can either stabilise 2 and then stabilise another 2 afterwards, because the stabiliser will do twice as many films as the rest of the chemicals will anyway, so it's good for twice as many films at least. So you can do them separately, or you could just buy yourself separately another bit of the stabiliser chemical to make up a full litre. That's entirely up to yourself. A little bit of an oddity with the kit, but there you go. So we're going to slide that aside for the moment, and we're going to look at these. Now, if you're in the UK, the odds are you have one of these, and this is a Patterson System 4 tank. And if you have one of these, you have a slight dilemma in the fact that this kit is designed, I believe, with the Jobo tanks in mind, because Compard Rollei, of course, are German, and the Jobo tanks are German, the Patterson tanks are English. And the problem that you've got is a 2-reel Jobo tank, which would stand about so high but be the same diameter, takes 500 millilitres of working solution to cover two 35mm films. The Patterson tank, 2-reel Patterson tank, the System 4, requires 580 millilitres of working solution. So for a single film you're talking 250 ml, and 290 ml respectively, which means you have to make more of the chemicals to cover the film in a Patterson tank. So because this kit is designed with measurements for 250 millilitres on it, it's designed so that you can make 250 ml, 500 ml or a litre according to your needs. It means that you'll need to make a greater amount to use a Patterson System 4 tank to develop either a single roll or 2 rolls of 35 ml. If you're just developing medium format, you're okay because you only need 500 ml to cover a single 120 or 220 roll film in a Patterson tank. So you're okay in that respect, but for 35 ml you will need to make up more solution. It's not a problem other than when you need to make up more solution. Of course, if you make up 600 from this, you've only got 400 left, so you'll need more chemicals to make up another 600. So you'd probably, long-term wise, if you're going to buy a bulk to make up as and when you need, you'd probably be better off buying a 1 litre and a 500 ml one of these kits. So just to bear that in mind, if you're using a Patterson tank, you will need a little bit more liquid than the kit makes up. But if you're using Jobo tanks, you're good to go. Now I'm going to be using my single 35ml Jobo tank, which is a leftover from my CPE2 processor that I used to have way back when. And the reason for this is twofold. I was going to make up a 500ml solution using these, which is a brown or amber glass bottle. Now glass is the best material. It's got a clip lock cap as well. You can buy these from your chemist shops. Glass is the best material because it's pretty much inert, whereas plastics might react to the chemicals, so be aware of that. The problem is I only have one of these, whereas I have a few of these which are 300ml brown or amber glass bottles with screw top caps that seal. So I thought what I'm going to do is mix up 250ml to begin with. That's good for 5 to 7 35 millimeter films, and it will allow me to do them individually, which initially is a bit of a pain in the backside if I want to do more than one, but it means that I can do one, see how it went and make adjustments as necessary if I'm required to do that. So and also I'm not going to have to leave it in storage for too long, because when you're developing 5 to 7 films you'll use it up much more quickly than you expect to. So what we're going to do next is go ahead and start mixing the chemicals. We need water at 49 degrees C to mix the chemicals initially, and ideally you need a good quality graduated beaker. This is a Patterson one, it's a proper photographic one, and it's much more accurate than your typical supermarket 1 litre plastic jugs, for example. They're okay, but when you're mixing something like this you want accuracy, which is why you get the syringes for mixing your chemicals, so you're getting exact amounts. I don't know if I mentioned, but the whole kit will do between 20 and 24 films, it says. So 250ml will do, it says on one of the labels, between 5 and 7, though logically you'd think 5 to 6, but we'll see how that goes. And what I will do when I get to the end of it, the 6th and 7th film, I'm going to use films that are less critical to me. So if they don't come out quite as well, it's not going to be too bad. But it'll be interesting also to see if they come out just as well as the earlier ones. So we're going to go ahead now, boil the kettle, and wait till the water's about the right temperature and mix up the chemicals. The temperature's about 52 degrees, which is near enough. So I'm going to start with 100ml in there. So by the time this is kind of hit there, it's going to cool down a degree or two anyway. And what we need is 25ml each of these. So we've got 10. $25. And we do the same with the others, 25 of each, and then 2.5 ml of the starter. Okay, so that's parts A, B and C in. Now I thought I'd actually messed up and put too much of part B in, which would have been really upsetting. As it turns out, I'd actually put too little of part C in, which thankfully was easy to rectify. But maybe, just worth bearing in mind, have a separate graduated beaker when you mix yours and put the quantities from the syringe into that. Make sure you've got the exact quantities you need before you add it to this particular one with the water in. That's probably what I should have done. So 2.5 ml. Pop that into there. This is the activator. This is what will start the whole thing doing what's required. Capping that each item carefully as you complete it. I'm going to use a plastic spoon to give it a good thorough stir. Being liquid concentrates, of course, is good for you because it means that you're much more likely to get a good mix, a good even mix. The powder ones can be a real pain in the backside. I've only ever used black and white in powder form, but yeah, they can be a real nuisance. I'll top that up to 250 ml at the bottom of the meniscus there. We'll give that a really good stir. And there we go. Now the process is pretty much the same thing for the subsequent ones, and the only real difference, of course, is that you've only got one bottle for each of the others, so I'm not going to bore you by showing you the others. Just go ahead, mix up the others accordingly. When you've mixed up your chemical solutions and you're happy with that, take your empty bottle and a funnel. You will want a separate funnel for each of these solutions, and you'll need to label your bottles accordingly and then decant your solutions into the bottle. If you intend to use them straight away, you can pop them in a water bath at a degree or two warmer than your chosen temperature. If you don't, then for now just cap your bottles and pop those somewhere cool and dark for storage. And just a quick one to show you the bleacher, which is a lovely shade of green, as you can see. Yeah, very nice indeed. Certainly wouldn't want to drink it, but there you go. Goes without saying, of course, make sure you use a separate spoon to stir these as you go. And of course a separate funnel for each one. What you need to do is mark your funnels and syringes. Something like a Sharpie is ideal, or a laundry marker, or a CD pen, or something like that. Something that's won't wash off. And in lieu of that, at the moment, I've just put little nicks in the tab on my funnels so I know which is for which. So 1 nick for the developer, 2 for the bleacher, 3 for the fixer, and none for the stabiliser. But what a charming colour, look at that. So there's the bleach. We've done the other 3 solutions. We're on the final one, the stabiliser. What I'm going to do with this one, because I didn't have a separate syringe for it, is I know it's 25 ml of stabiliser to 225 ml of water. So I'm just going to pour in 225 ml of water into the graduated beaker. And that just shows how inaccurate these supermarket things are, because that was actually showing much more than 225 ml, which it's not even quite that. So So yeah, bear that in mind if you're using these supermarket ones. They are really not that accurate at all. So what I need to do now is make this up to 250 ml, which is half of this bottle, and I'm just going to pour it straight in. I'm actually going to use the funnel just to make life easier. A little bit more. There we go. Now bear in mind, remember that the stabiliser will last twice as long as the other chemicals. So when you need to replenish your other chemicals, you don't need to replenish the stabiliser just yet. You can keep that going for the next set before you throw it out and replenish it for the third time, and then obviously the third and fourth time that stabiliser will do just fine. So like the others, give it a good mix up and decant it into its storage bottle. And there we go.